Welcome to the Let Your Spirit Guides Speak podcast. I'm Debra Engle, and I want to thank you so much for joining me today for information about living a happier and more creative life with the help of your personal spirit guides. You can find this podcast and many others at sacredstoriesmedia.com. Also, you'll find my award-winning book, Let Your Spirit Guides Speak, on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, and at your favorite independent bookstores. And please stop by my website, debraengle.com, for information about upcoming events and workshops. That's debraengle.com. Today I want to talk about waiting. Now, right away you're probably thinking, well, this is not my favorite topic, but I want you to hang in there with me because the idea of waiting, the way we're going to talk about it today with your spirit guides, could change a lot of things for you and actually change them in wonderful ways, unexpected ways. Now, we're not talking about waiting for a bus or waiting for your food at a restaurant or waiting for your favorite series to be released on Netflix. We're talking about the bigger things, waiting for the love of your life to show up right in front of you, or waiting for the stars to align so that you can leave your job and steady paycheck and feel confident about building your own business. These days, we're not used to waiting. We can instantly access any information, and we can buy a pair of shoes one day online and have them waiting for us at our front door the next day. And we can chat with somebody on the other side of the world anytime. So when we want something, we want it, and we're used to getting it now. But I want to talk about waiting because I work with so many people who are frustrated by their own impatience. They drive themselves crazy, one day doing manifestation practices, and then the next day just kind of flipping over into anger and frustration because nothing seems to be happening. And I know this from my own experience. I know what an awful feeling this is, to think, when am I going to have what it is that I want in my life, and why do I have to wait so long? But when we're talking about spiritual growth and guidance, waiting is truly one of our best friends. It's not because we need to put our desires on hold at all, but it's because waiting allows us to witness divine timing rather than pushing our own agenda. And that's when things happen in the right time, in the right place, when we're ready, and typically not a moment before. So what I want you to do is to think of it this way. Think about waiting as a skill, not a punishment. So often we think that we are being punished somehow, that something is being withheld from us. If you're waiting, maybe you feel deprived. How come I'm not getting what I want? So you have to train yourself with the help of your guides to see that waiting is feeding you instead. It's actually nourishing you. It's giving you opportunities that you wouldn't have if you just jumped right in or if you were given what you wanted right now before you're ready for it. Now, there's nothing flashy about waiting, but let me tell you a couple of stories about why it's so important and why it's worth working with your spirit guides on this. I mentor and coach writers to help them improve their writing skills and to write their own books. And to me, spiritual guidance is a key element of writing, because when we open up to it, when we become co-creators and collaborators on what we write, we open the door to information and inspiration that the world needs, not just what our ego minds think that it needs. So recently I've been working with a woman who's writing a book about a traumatic injury that she sustained, and the book is about how she healed from that injury and what she learned from it. Well, over the past few months, I've been working with her on developing her writing techniques, how to tell a story, how to show rather than tell. Now, all along, she has steadily been working on this, and she's been becoming a stronger storyteller. But here, just in the last few days, she sent me a couple of pieces that she had written, and they totally blew everything else that she had written out of the park. And why? Because they were truly inspired writing. Instead of trying to write something good, she had opened up to her spiritual guidance, and she really wrote with the voice of spirit. and it came out seamlessly. It was intimate, it was powerful and compelling. The writing itself just drew me in. I was so absorbed in it, and it just soared. And the reason that that happened was because she got out of the way. Well, we talked about why this happened now rather than 3 months ago. And I told her that with writing, just like so many things in life, we practice to get better. We need to get to a place of readiness. And that's what she had been doing. She'd been practicing scales, just like if you were learning to play a musical instrument. You've got to do those scales first and get those basics down before you can start to improvise and before things can go to another level. So once she had the storytelling skills, Spirit could speak through her and know that she would tell her story with depth and with heart, and that's exactly what she did. But she had to wait for it. She had to do the work and then get out of the way. I've also seen this so often with relationships. Now, it's easiest to see how people wait and get frustrated and impatient with the waiting when you're looking for your life partner. I can remember how frustrated I used to get when I was single. I felt like I had so much to offer in a relationship, but the right person just was not showing up. And I couldn't see then that what I was doing was practicing my scales. I was doing the spiritual practice that I needed until I was ready for my partner to show up in my life. I was waiting. But this can also happen with long-standing relationships too. It's not just for new relationships. For instance, a woman in one of my A Course in Miracles classes has had some issues in her marriage. She and her husband have been married for more than 25 years, and the relationship had just gotten stale. It had kind of stalled out. But it wasn't just a lack of passion. It was really a standoff between the two of them, and at one point they almost separated. But she waited. She talked with her spiritual guides. She did the spiritual work to become more peaceful in herself. She did what A Course in Miracles calls asking for a holy relationship, for a relationship that's not satisfying to be transformed into something that's used for higher purposes. And while it took time for that to happen, the waiting paid off. And now she feels calm and peaceful in herself and in her marriage. And she and her husband remember what brought them together in the first place. It's like having not a totally new relationship, but a relationship that is deeper because of the history that they have and refreshed by that spiritual time of waiting and inner work that she's gone through. So it's important to realize that this kind of waiting is not sitting and doing nothing. It's using the time creatively with intention to get to know your guides and yourself. So waiting involves several key things. One is that it means we have to trust. This is where it helps to be in contact with your spiritual guidance every day and to have that relationship with them. Because when you're having regular conversations with your guides, it's much easier to know that they're working on your behalf behind the scenes because you're getting regular updates from them. You're checking in with them frequently. You know that something really is happening, even when it doesn't feel like to you. Waiting also means that you ask for what you want, and then you let it go with loving detachment and enjoy your life exactly where you are. You get to the place where you don't have to have a particular marriage to make you happy, or you don't have to write that book to be happy. Those are enhancements, wonderful enhancements to an already joyful life, because you found the joy within you where it will always be. Now, it's a great thing, an important thing to have desires as long as we're not attached to them, as long as we ask our guides for what we want or something better. Then we trust that they're bringing that to fruition and that they will put it in our path when we're ready and when the time is right, and we find something creative to do in the meantime. So waiting also means that your guides are preparing the ground so that the seeds you've planted can take root and can grow. After The Only Little Prayer You Need, the book that I wrote a few years ago, was published, I felt like I was supposed to be doing things, doing, setting up workshops, sending emails. But as I was talking with my guides about it one day, They showed me an image, and the image that I saw was of a rabbit digging up seeds in a garden. And they said, "This is you. You're the rabbit. If you keep going into the garden and digging up what you've planted, it can't grow. This is a time for waiting. Let those seeds take root, and then we'll let you know when it's time for action." So I put my attention and my focus on other things, and a few weeks later, when the time was right, they gave me a nudge, and then I started doing all of the things that I was so frantically wanting to do weeks earlier. So I was able to turn my attention to other things and to wait. Waiting is hard simply because it's not how our ego minds are wired. They're like the rabbit. They're constantly taking action, digging, planning, fixing, controlling, and waiting, by definition, is none of those things. Waiting is going about your business with patience and calm, trusting that your guides will bring what you're waiting for to you when you're ready, or that they'll give you a nudge when it's time to take action. Now, it's really important to say that I don't mean that you will have to wait to receive messages from your guides. Far from it. It's just that for the deep inner work that you can do with your guides, see every step of the process as evidence that you are getting what you want, even though you haven't actually seen it manifest yet. A healer friend of mine described it this way, and I thought it was such a lovely metaphor. She said it's like a tulip that hasn't opened up yet in the spring. And think of a tulip that's closed up, when it's still in the bud stage, hasn't yet come into full flower. It's where all of the petals are still tightly closed and they're overlapping each other. And the healer said, inside there's all sorts of work going on, so that at the perfect time that tulip can open and blossom and come into its full flower. If that happened too soon, it couldn't be the beautiful, flourishing flower that it's meant to be. So that inner work that's going on, while those petals are still tightly closed, before we can actually see how beautiful it is, that's the inner work that we perceive as waiting. So if you're looking for the love of your life, it may feel like nothing has happened until that person shows up. But look at everything that you're learning and experiencing in the meantime. You're getting to know what you don't want as well as what you do by dating other people and having other relationships. You're strengthening your sense of self-worth. You're building your inner core of peace, knowing that you can handle disappointment. You're learning from different situations, even when they're a challenge. You're learning that you can rely on yourself. You're learning to trust yourself. You're probably becoming more vulnerable. You're seeing that love is everywhere, not just in one person. And then when that person who is meant to be your partner does come into your life, you're ready because you did the work while you waited. And in that way, waiting is really not waiting at all. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think of something that you feel like you're waiting for and make it something significant. So it's not just like new ink cartridges that you've ordered from Amazon and you're waiting for the package to get there. Make it something life-changing, like you're waiting for abundance to flow into your life, or you're waiting for a shift in relationship, or you're waiting for the perfect time to leave your job or to purchase a home. You might even be waiting for a diagnosis for a health issue. And now I want you to start a journal and call it While I Wait. And every day I want you to sit down, talk to your guides about where you are, and let them guide you through the process of waiting. So ask them questions. Ask them questions like, how can I grow during this time of waiting? What can I focus on today? What is getting stronger in me? What do I need to practice? How is everything contributing to my good? Ask these questions and then listen in whatever way your guides speak to you, whether it's through feelings or sensations or words or images, whatever it might be. Just take the guidance that they give to you and write it down, journal about it, make a record of it. You don't have to take a lot of time to do this, but spend at least 10 minutes a day so that you can truly enter into a conversation and give it your full attention. Remember that this is transformation in action, so it really deserves a bit of your time. Do this for a week and then go back over what you've written and see what you've learned. And then do it for another week and then another week. And over time, you'll start to see that what seems like waiting is really active growth happening under the surface, the place where real change starts. And the changes that will make you ready to receive exactly what you're waiting for and exactly the perfect time are already in motion. So I really encourage you to do the While I Wait journal. It's pretty amazing what that can teach you and how it can help alleviate that frustration and the impatience that can keep us at the edge of our seats and keep us going back and forth between that peaceful place and a place of, but I want it now. And it will give you a glimpse into the inner workings of this spiritual process and how you can truly walk hand in hand with your guides to move every day another step closer and another step closer to exactly what it is that you most desire. That's the value of waiting. So for today, I want to finish up with a short guided visualization that you can use to help you while you wait. It will remind you that your guides are here with you and that all is well. As usual, when the visualization is over, that will be the end of the podcast as well. And what I'd like you to do at that point, if you're in a place where you can, is to get a piece of paper and a pen or sit down at the computer, speak into your phone, and record anything that came to you through this meditation that you want to hold on to and to capture. As we've talked about before, these meditations are very much like dreams, and if we get very far away from them, if much time passes, we forget the message that they had for us on a conscious level. So it's helpful to write them down, just like those conversations that you're going to have in your While I Wait journal. And then go back to what you've written, work with that information, ask your guides about it, and keep learning from them. So before we get into the meditation, I want to say thank you again for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this and found value in it. There's so much more to come. So don't forget to subscribe to the Sacred Stories podcast stream on iTunes. And if you'd like more information about your spirit guides, please pick up a copy of Let Your Spirit Guides Speak through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and your independent bookstore. Also, I'd love to hear any questions or experiences you have about meeting and getting to know your spirit guides. You can find my contact information on my website, DebraEngle.com. With that, let's move into the meditation. What I'd like you to do is to sit very quietly and start to take in deep, deep breaths. Close your eyes. Get comfortable wherever you're seated. Start to feel yourself becoming more relaxed. Shift around in your chair a bit if you need to. And then take in a deep breath and let it out with a sigh. Take in another deep breath and let it out. And if you feel any fear, blockage, or fatigue in your body, simply take in a deep breath. Breathe into that place in your body. Breathing in love and light and healing. And then exhale anything that no longer serves you. Making space for a new experience, for openness, and complete relaxation. And now in your mind's eye, See yourself looking out over a garden, a space where there are trees and shrubs and grass. And in the middle of this garden area, there's a garden bed that looks as though it has nothing growing in it yet, just the soil, prepared for something to grow. From above the surface, it looks as though there's nothing there. But imagine that you can see underground at everything that's happening beneath the surface of the soil. See all the seeds that you and your guides have planted for the changes that you most desire in your life. And now see those seeds germinating. See them breaking open and releasing new growth that's moving slowly but steadily to the surface. Know that when the conditions are absolutely right, those seedlings will break through the surface of the soil and will come into the light and be visible. And in the meantime, there's nothing for you to do but trust, relax, take deep breaths, and know that everything is working for your good. Just relax into the knowing. Everything that needs to be happening is already taking place. If there's something you'd like to say to the guides to express how you're feeling, go ahead and do that now. Now breathe in their comfort. Breathe in the safety. Breathe in their reassurance. And with every breath, remember that you are never alone and that your guides are with you always. Now sit in silence for a moment, receiving love from your guides, letting it soak in and open your heart. If you feel any resistance to that love or any sense of not deserving it, ask your guides to heal your thoughts so you can fully believe in your own worth and your value. Let them know that you trust them and that you trust that all is well. Now take a moment to express your gratitude to the guides and to yourself for reaching out and making this connection. And then when you're ready, know that you can come back to this place at any time. Take in a deep breath. Let it out with a sigh. Take in another deep breath. And let it go. And then very gently and slowly, and as you're ready, open your eyes, come back to your space, and record anything you'd like to remember from this experience.